music in T. Like T. Yeah. Like it. Yeah. Like it. Yeah. I was feeling suicidal, looking for the answers, could not find them in the Bible. Yeah, yeah. But you didn't want to know that, cause all my pictures tell you that I'm good. That's a Kodak moment, yeah. But my real ones got me. I would never fold out, that's worth the origami. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Driven, that's the logo. I can't tell you I won't quit, but you already know though, man. You know though, man. You know though, man. You know what it is. I'm the only one bringing championships to the crib. Everybody else, you know, they trying to leave out the city, but I move back so I can take it over like Diddy. Building empires take time, that's why I'm patient for this. This might not make radio, cause there ain't no station for this. Greener make some people change up on you out of the blue. Damn, I thought you was my dog, I did not have a clue. Look, I know what these people want, so I just give them what they need. And looking at it from your eyes, it must be devastating. But I got so much work to do, and I ain't got no time for you. And looking at my future goals, and it was so amazing. Amen. Yeah. And they gon' hate this one. Man, it took me like I must have finally make this one. I'm moving on, cause victory is mine, my son. It's Type T and High Ride, Bad Boys, Volume 1. What's up? Yeah. I was feeling suicidal, looking for the answers, could not find them in the Bible. Yeah, yeah. But you didn't want to know that, cause all my pictures tell you that I'm good. That's a Kodak moment, yeah. But my real ones got me. I would never fold out, it's worth the origami. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Driven, that's the logo. I can tell you I won't quit, but you already know though. Look, I'm the greatest, it ain't up for discussion. If we talk of them temptations, boy, then I'm David Ruffin. Man, we did it on our own, nobody gave us nothing. And if your grind don't match your rhyme, then the deuces I'm chucking for real. Look, and ain't nobody does it like I did it. Point the biggest skeptic out, even he gotta admit it. Nothing you say can bother me, cause I'm my biggest critic. 2020's the vision, and I see it very, very look. Man, I'm murder beast, homicide rules I do not abide. Work to Sleepy J, I was raised different. And I got plenty problems 99, but they don't revolve around you. Why me do it? I don't need permission. And they gon' hate this one. Man, it took me like 9 months to finally make this one. I'm moving on, cause victory is mine, my son. It's Type T and Hot Rod, Bad Boys, Volume 1. What's up? I was feeling suicidal, looking for the answers, could not find them in the Bible. Yeah, yeah. But you didn't want to know that, cause all my pictures tell you that I'm good. That's a Kodak moment, yeah. But my real ones got me. I would never fold out, it's worth the origami. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Driven, that's the logo. I can tell you I won't quit, but you already know the look.
Good evening, peace and love, everybody. It's your homie Pastor Earl, and I'm coming to you live and direct from the mighty city of Memphis, Tennessee. It's good to be back with y'all. We had a couple of weeks of downtime, and I'll talk some more about that in a little while. But first, let me say thanks to all you tuning in. Peace, Pastor Parks and Myron Lowry and Elder Brooks. This is a discussion on all things social justice, black liberation, politics, so on and so forth. And I always want to salute and thank the inspiration for Ask the Black Preacher, my colleague, my compadre, my mentor, somebody who was on my dissertation committee, my dear brother, the Right Reverend Dr. Andre E. Johnson, who is the senior pastor of the Gifts of Life Ministries in the Raleigh-Frazier area of Memphis, Tennessee, and is also the associate professor of communications at the University of Memphis. He would do Ask the Pastor at G-Life, and I liked it, so he inspired me to do what I'm now calling Ask the Black Preacher. He would just sit down and have a conversation with his congregation from time to time about whatever they wanted to talk about. He would take questions from them and field the questions. And so instead of me just doing it at Abyssinian and with Abyssinians, I wanted to open it up. So y'all do me a favor and share this. A couple of things I want to talk about today, but not limited to Kanye West and the current primary elections in Memphis and Shelby County and all over the country, as well as, hey, Sister Nancy Amos, as well as, let me get my comments up on my Abyssinian page so I can make sure I'm catching those. I also want to talk about all things Memphis. Memphis is in a wonderful place right now. So if y'all have any questions or comments or things of that nature, why don't you do me a favor and submit them in the comment section. Again, we can talk about anything social justice, black liberation, religion, politics, current events, that sort of thing. So again, we took a couple of weeks off, and I'll tell you why. Some of it was just some scheduling snafus on my end with some people who I wanted to come on who couldn't. I couldn't get the scheduling down, so that was part of it. But also, if I'm being honest, it's a lot going on, and a brother needed some downtime. COVID-19 has been a revealing reality for a whole lot of us, and I am no exception. It's revealed like so much of what we have done and so much of what we are doing, and how it can often be redundant and almost irrelevant. So I've been in conversation with a lot of people over the past couple of days, and one of the things that I have said repeatedly that I want to share with y'all is, especially as it relates to church and ministry and faith and religion, but also as it relates to what we see happening around the country, is this, that, for the longest, a lot of folks, especially in church, Sister Nancy, would say stuff like, what we're doing is not working. What people are doing in ministry is not working. We need to modernize, or we need to update, or we need to, the word that we're using now around criminal justice reform is obviously reimagine. We need to reimagine, and we need to revitalize, and we need to retool, and we need to restructure. Then COVID-19 hit, which has provided for us a pretty robust time to reconsider, retool, all of the things that we were talking about we need to do. And you also see, for a lot of us, people trying to go, hey, Pastor Broderick, and hey, Darren, and hey, Pastor Battle. We see a whole lot of people trying to go right back into the modes and the methods and the practices and the philosophies that so many of us were saying was not working. Okay, so I don't want to be one of those people. And one of the things, if I would confess that I would do that was not working, was trying to be everywhere at the same time, or probably be all things to all people. COVID-19 has provided me an opportunity to really stabilize some of the things that I have been doing and concentrate on some things pastorally, some things academically, some things personally, some things ministerially. Grateful for the amount of time that I can spend with my wife. Hello, somebody. So hopefully all of us have been, adjusting to what so many people have called the new normal. So again, thank y'all for tuning in, and I hope that y'all will share this. Let's talk about Mr. West. First, let me say, I think that's the right way to put it. I was a fan of who Black Thought called in the best freestyle that has ever been done, which was Black Thought on Funkmaster Flex freestyle. He called him pre-Kardashian Kanye. I was in love with pre-Kardashian Kanye. I was a fan. I think he is, and still is, a musical genius. But if you have been watching closely what has happened to Kanye, especially since the passing of his mother, you've just seen a different brother. You've seen a different human being. It is no secret, and I think his wife tweeted today about, hey, Dr. Bailey, his wife tweeted today about his bipolar disorder. It's a clinical thing, which leaves some room for compassion for me, because how I see him, I don't know if I want to say performing, or maybe I should just say acting out, I think is a byproduct of that. Yeah, Frank, I'm just going to jump right in with Kanye, okay? But the way I see him acting out, and Sister Parr, I see your question, and I plan to come to it in just a second. And thanks for the question, too. And again, if any of you have questions, I'm going to try my best to answer. But I have compassion for Kanye insofar as I think most of what we see now is him acting out of this pain and trauma of this particular psychological disorder. Having said that, hey, Bishop Aswell Walker, what is peculiar for me is how many people who claim to be free thinking or thinking out of the box somehow try to justify much of what Kanye has said or done as if he's some type of secret genius. Like his genius is no secret. He's a musical genius. And I think that the celebrity culture we live in, and let me take a minute to dive into this celebrity culture thing. And I don't know if it's just a social media type deal, maybe not. It might be, might not be. I don't know. I do know that a lot of what we see in the public sphere, a lot of what we see people say and do in public, a lot of what we see people post on social media or share or like, is rooted in this idea that people love to be seen. People love to be viewed. People love to be valued. There's, all of us are human beings and we long for affirmation. But that doesn't mean all of us want to be celebrities. Like so many people want to be superstars. Everybody wants to be highly regarded and highly sought after. And so people, Nancy, that's funny. Nancy said compassion, yes, but vote for him, no. Amen, right? Pearl, I hope I'm describing why Kanye gets as much attention as he does. Because I think people are trying to be vicarious or living vicariously through some public figures in ways that make us think that what the public figure has access to is something we long to have access to, which is usually a lot of cash, a bunch of cameras and a whole bunch of crowds, right? So I think that that's a dangerous thing because most of us, depending upon our personality, don't really like our lives to be dictated and determined by how much other people support us. Hey, Pastor Harvey, Dr. Harvey, congrats on the book contract. So I'm saying that if you peel back the layers, and this is what I don't think we do enough in our society, like we like to look at the surface of things and we engage things very superficially, like how it makes us feel or how it looks or how it sounds. But what's the substance of it? And I'm gonna just do one thing, and then Sister Parr, I'm gonna try to come to your question because I think it's a critical and crucial question a lot of people have. Hey, Jamie, let's look at Kanye's recent campaign rally, and I want to, as much as possible, kind of put the psychological disorder to the side because I want to try to talk about the substance of what he said at his campaign rally that got so much buzz. And that was this. Harriet Tubman did not free the slaves. She just sent them to go work for other white people. Okay? Let's look at the substance of this statement. So I'm doing what, is in my field. It's called some rhetorical analysis. And I'm saying that what Kanye is saying and doing, again, I understand and I have plenty of compassion for him. It grieves me to see this artistic genius being exploited like this, right? Because we love to exploit people's pain. I do think he's dealing with some pain and some trauma. So if you look at the substance of what he says, and this gives us a glimpse into this whole notion of most people talking about this notion of free thinking and thinking out of the box, right? Is rooted in what we would call a certain type of contrarianism, which is to say, I'm just going to go contrary to what the majority of the people are doing because the majority of people just ain't smart enough to know that they're being duped and deceived. But you are, right? But you don't even know how to peel back the layers and analyze the substance of somebody's statement. So Kanye says that Harriet Tubman did not free the slaves. Okay, were they still enslaved? That would be a critical, just basic question. Were they still enslaved? Kanye's argument is, yes, they were still enslaved because they still worked for white people. To be enslaved means to be viewed solely as property, to have no rights or privileges afforded to you, and, watch this, here's the kicker, to work for free. Now, is Kanye suggesting that these people who Harriet Tubman, and this is document, you know, there's so many people who are so smart and so intelligent, but don't seem to be able to read history books that are out there. Like, Google is your friend and it works. Okay, as long as your Google work, you should be able to get some of this information. But people don't like to read. Ministerial friend of mine from my hometown, Reverend Cedric Thrash, who's in North Carolina, posted and said, everybody want to be a pastor, but you just want that. You don't want the pastor. You want the platform of a pastor. You want the privilege of a pastor, but you don't want pastoral responsibility. And I liked it so much, I added to it. I said, yeah, and everybody want to be a scholar, but don't nobody want to do the research. So Kanye's stuff was not deep. And so many people who say so much stupid stuff, okay? And I was trying to hold back saying that, but it is what it is. Hey, Tracy, and hey, Pastor Tracy Blackman and Sam, hey, y'all, I hope y'all share this. And again, if y'all got any questions, please. But look, now, this is stupid stuff. This ain't deep. You know, as Jay-Z said, you niggas ain't deep, you dumb, okay? This ain't deep stuff. And we are at a place right now where the essence of our lives are too crucial. Like, the stakes are too high for us to try to affirm stuff that's stupid just because it's different and we try to say it's deep, right? Kanye didn't say no deep stuff. It was stupid. It was stupid. It was dumb. And if you peel back the layers, you can do that, right? The substance of his argument was ridiculous. But we love celebrities so much. We think that celebrities who may just be good at something. Look, it's people who are good at basketball. I can play basketball, but that ain't what made me smart. I played with a whole lot of folks who were good at basketball and dumb as a box of rocks. I used to exploit that too, by the way, on the court. But that's another Ask the Black Preacher for another time, right? But again, Google is your friend. You can check and verify some of this stuff. So just because somebody is a genius in one area does not even mean that they are intellect. Like, certain people are just gifted. Kanye has artistic gifts, I would say, endowed by the Creator. He's a genius in that regard. And that's his bipolar, schizophrenia, or mental disorder notwithstanding. And this don't make him a bad person. I think the bad people are the people who are willing to exploit this man. Now, the same folks who was trying to make it seem like his journey into Christianity, and I want to get into this, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Sister Par, Lizia. If I'm not, please comment and let me know. But I want to get into Lizia's question, because I think what Kanye is dealing with from a religious standpoint can also shine some light into what we're seeing happen, like, in his life from a political standpoint. I want to deal with something that Lizia Parr asked. She asked, can someone go to heaven with spirituality? Because she is traumatized by white Christianity. Here's what I would say to that. Heaven is what we would call in the field of religious studies a theological construction. That is not to say that it is not real. I believe in an afterlife, okay? I do believe that there is life that exists beyond this realm. I don't engage in much philosophizing about it because these are things that we can't really know. Now, I know some of my white evangelical Christian friends and even white evangelicals in blackface are going to say, but the Bible says and all this other stuff. Please don't try that, okay? I would be considered, I think, in most circles as a Bible scholar of sorts. So I think I know what I'm talking about when I say these things are not things that we have proven. These are things that people have cultivated philosophies and ideologies about. So can someone go to heaven with spirituality? I think you're asking if I believe religion or a particular brand of religion is the sole gateway into heaven. I don't think so. I think that the God that created the universe is so wide and so awesome and so vast that none of us have God all figured out. Or as I would say, and have said before, God's full revelation, y'all type this and share it if y'all want to. God's full revelation is never limited to any human imagination. God's full revelation, the totality of who and what God is never limited to any human imagination. So all humans have to construct and conceive of who or what God is our imagination. than our experience, right? But our imagination, right? Because, so I'm saying that whatever the afterlife is, whatever heaven is something that we would have to imagine. But if we believe that heaven is something that God, the creator of the universe, the creator of you and I, has put together, then I just believe that God has it under control. That I don't have to take my time here on earth and overwhelm myself trying to figure out what it is that the afterlife is going to be like. And if, you got to do, what brand of religion. Now, look, anybody who knows me, I am unashamedly black and unapologetically Christian. But it's not white Christianity that I practice. And I, like you, Sister Parr, am traumatized by white Christianity and trying to get over it every day. So I hope that would answer your question. Thank you, Pastor Blackburn and all that. So, that's where I stand. And I think the rigidity of religion as we try to promote it. And when I say rigidity, I'm talking about, and I'm going to come back to Kanye in just a second. When I say rigidity, I'm talking about how rigid and coarse and stiff and inflexible and stubborn and all of those terms that would describe someone not or something not being able to be molded or adapt is really what gets us in trouble. In other words, if religion and spirituality is ultimately about faith, and if faith is belief in something that we have not proven, then some of us are all too certain about our faith. Some of us are all too certain about our faith. I'm not saying that you can't be confident in what you believe, but Christianity is a faith-based religion. And some of us are all too certain about matters of faith. So, let's go back to Kanye. Some of us were all too certain that Kanye's conversion into Christianity, which as a faith-based religion could never be proven other than by somebody's acts and behaviors. And then, that's a whole nother philosophical conversation about, is it works righteousness? Is it by faith alone, by grace alone? All these other, white evangelical theologies and philosophies that I just don't put a lot of energy into. We were all certain, for everybody was certain about Kanye's conversion. How does that line up with his behaviors now? Would you consider what he is doing in the political realm to be consistent with the behavior of a Christian, somebody who is adopting to be Christian? I've said this a lot of times on Ask the Black Preacher. To be Christian is to adopt the disciplines of the Christ, to be a disciple of the Christ. Who is the Christ? In Christianity, we say Jesus of Nazareth, or who Matt King Carter calls the Negro from Nazareth, or who Albert Clegg calls the Black Messiah, or who Kelly Brown Douglas calls the Black Christ, or who I call the gangster from Galilee. Him. What did he practice? How did he practice? Well, I believe he practiced the politics of liberation. I believe Jesus of Nazareth was a liberationist. So I try to practice the politics of liberation. That's what I think it means to be Christian. So now I have to ask, is Kanye West practicing the politics of liberation? Hell to the no. We clear. He's practicing the politics of exploitation, which reminds me of so many other elected officials. The politics of exploitation. So let me shift gears. If I don't see any other questions. If I did miss y'all question, y'all forgive me, and then just share it again. Yeah, yes, Amy, Nancy Amos, the gangster from Galilee. Okay, if you quote me, give me credit. Yes, Sister Parr, James Cone says God is God of the oppressed. That's part of Black liberation theology. Howard Thurman said God is God of the, or Jesus and the disinherited, right? So, let me go back to the politics of liberation. How we engage in the public sphere and what kind of ethics we practice and to what end. So, here's where Kanye could have been helpful. But if you don't have nuance and insight and revelation for real, then you just do this performative stuff that Kanye does to try to exploit people. Now, had he said something like this, Harriet Tubman freed the slaves, but those enslaved people who were free were still not liberated, then he would have been on to something. But that's not what he said. He said he didn't really free them because he could say, hey, she tirelessly, courageously, bravely, creatively undermined a system of enslavement that was it was legalized. Slavery was legal and all this other stuff. And even in her doing all of that wonderful work, the people who she helped to set free were still subject to a system, a structure, and a society that oppressed them. They were free, but they were not liberated. They were free, but they were not liberated. Right? But he didn't say that. And so the politics of liberation should be what we're after. And we can see how people posture and position themselves in public office, even as they are aspiring for public office, and see who is engaged in the politics of liberation versus who is engaged in the politics of exploitation. 90%, probably 99% of elected officials engage in the politics of exploitation. Let me read Kyle Stevenson's comment because I appreciate Kyle Stevenson's perspective. Kyle says, it's like trying to grasp God, trying to find God outside of how God revealed God's self. He said for him, it's Jesus fully, but he has figured out that God is but to say that anyone has figured God out is to traffic in idolatry. To my earlier point, yes, I'm not sure which one of the earlier points, but thank you for that. Hey, Gail Rose. Hey, Tamika. Hey, Catherine Lewis. And hey, Kimberly. And hey, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in. And again, I hope y'all will share this. So I'm talking about Kanye West and the current election and the politics of liberation in comparison to the politics of exploitation. I'm talking about what it means for us to peel back the layers from the substance of what we see and not just get caught up in the celebrity culture and all this other stuff. So the current election, you see people lobbying to become other people's representatives, but often their concern or their desire, not their concern, their desire is to exploit those who they represent, exploit them in terms of use them to get access to power and privilege and platforms, even if they say they're going to look out for them. And maybe sometimes people do certain things, but doing that in a way that benefits you more than it benefits the people is not the politics of liberation, it's the politics of exploitation. And in our democratic experiment, most of our elected officials and aspiring elected officials on both sides of the aisle, so I'm not playing, towards one or the other, are engaged more in the politics of exploitation than the politics of liberation. So, what do we do with all of this? I'm glad you asked. One of the things we have to do is the same thing that I was talking about we must do at the offset of this. So we have to be better informed. So I'm involved with an organization that I founded in 2016-17, Up the Vote 901. Everybody type that in the comment section. I'm going to type it too. So hashtag Up the Vote 901. I want y'all, if y'all are unfamiliar with this, I want y'all to know as much about it as you possibly can. I want you to know as much about this as you possibly can, because I do think that Up the Vote 901 is a model to give people more power, information, and representation, which will ultimately help us to engage more in the politics of liberation and less in the politics of exploitation. So, Up to Vote 901, nonpartisan collaborative that is committed to giving more power, information, and representation to more people and increasing voter turnout in Memphis and Shelby County in every election. Okay? I think that this is important because we need to ensure that our people get better access to political information. Part of the reason we engage in so much of the politics of exploitation is because so many of our people don't have righteous, equitable access to the political information. Now, a lot of us may have heard something about low voter turnout, which was ultimately the impetus for Up to Vote 901. I was just tired of seeing low turnout elections in Memphis and Shelby County. I'm talking about low in terms of like 10%, 12%, 15%, 27%. And I'm like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me only 10, 15, 20% of the people are deciding who is going to represent whom in the political realm? And I was like, well, that don't seem right because democracy is supposed to be majority rule. So how do people have a mandated majority if only 10% or 15% of registered voters participate? So I wanted to know what we could do to increase voter turnout. And so then I had to ask people why they weren't, Ms. Parr, I'm coming right down the alley. I had to ask people why they weren't participating. So we were reaching out to people who were registered to vote but did not participate. And the primary answer was not this notion of apathy or even my vote don't count. That wasn't the primary thing. Here it is. The primary thing is that they felt like they did not know enough. And they did not want to have their vote exploited. Now, I'll give you one way that this works, okay? And I'm sure Kanye banks on this. You know, the Kanye-like politicians or aspirational politicians. I know that the occupier of the White House banks on this. I know people in Memphis and Shelby County who are in office and aspiring to office who bank on this too. Name recognition. How does name recognition work? Name recognition works to suggest that people who might not know a person's politics would know their name and support them just because they recognize their name. And this happens all the time. People go into the ballot box ill-informed or uninformed, and then they scroll down the list and they pick the name that is most recognizable to them. They even have, political pundits and things of that nature. Like they literally have polls that a heavy determinant in whether or not somebody is going to run for office or should run for office is how much name recognition they have. So they like literally banking on people don't really know. They'll just vote for you because they know your name. So we wanted to try to give people access to the information. Because people said they weren't going because they didn't just want to walk into a voting booth and feel unprepared or ill-prepared. So, Memphis, Shelby County, and surrounding areas, you can connect to Up to Vote 901. It's Up to Vote 901 on Facebook, Up to Vote 901 at gmail.com. You can text Up to Vote 901 to 797979. Join our listserv, right? We are meeting Monday at 6 p.m. is a virtual meeting, and it's open to the public, but you do have to register. We sent the email out, or it's on the Facebook page, on the Up to Vote 901 page. It's probably on my page somewhere. So all of y'all who've been talking about what y'all want to do and how y'all want to get involved, here's your chance, okay? No more excuses. Here you go. Monday, 6 p.m. It'll be a virtual meeting, right? Because we understand that we are still in the midst of a pandemic. So we are going to talk Monday about the current election, and we're going to do what we would call a voter empowerment symposium. So the voter empowerment symposium is where we would go through the current ballot, all the names and stuff that's on the ballot, all of the seats, and what they are authorized to do. What does a U.S. senator do? What does a state senator do? What does a state representative do, right? What does the school board members do? We got school board that's on. What's the difference between the primary election and the general election? That sort of stuff. We're going to go through all of that, or as much of it as possible, because part of what we are after now is not just political engagement, but political empowerment through political education. We want to inform people. We want people to be able to, if you are watching Kanye's campaign rally, number one, I would hope you just don't watch it for entertainment because that brother is suffering. But if you are watching it, that at the very least, you can try to analyze the substance of what's being said and see if somebody is really about the politics of exploitation or the politics of liberation. My dear brother, my young brother, Jared Jones, who also has I guess we would call this an internet show or something like that. And Jared, I can't think of the name of it, but I know you asked me to be on a couple weeks ago and my schedule wouldn't allow it. So let's set that back up. But type it in the comment section what the name of it is. Jared Jones says, that's one of the main reasons why I don't vote, because I felt like I never knew enough. Now, let's be clear. None of us, my pleasure, Kimberly Gibson, none of us are like political experts like that. Like, it's a whole lot of information that folks just don't know. But you can know enough. You can know enough about your district, about your people, about your issues, and that's how we try to organize with Up to Vote 901. So look, I'm not going to stay on here much longer because I didn't just come to, do a monologue. I answered the question that Lizia, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Lizia Parr asked, and the other questions that I have seen, even as I skim through this. And if you got some questions, I'll take a few more minutes. But for those, especially in the Memphis and Shelby County area, Monday, 6 p.m., virtual, Up to Vote 901 monthly meeting. We're going to be doing a voter empowerment symposium. Y'all know early voting is underway. So let me say this as I conclude. Early voting is underway. And in Memphis and Shelby County, in the state of Tennessee, actually, because of the work of Up to Vote 901, y'all know we sued the state of Tennessee, us and a group of plaintiffs, sued the state of Tennessee to ensure that absentee ballots would be available to everybody who wanted them in the midst of this pandemic, so that people didn't have to decide whether or not they wanted to risk their health or compromise their access to the ballot box. So what we did was sue the state of Tennessee, and the Chancellor Judge ruled in our favor, saying everybody who wants an absentee ballot can get one. Fox News reports today that 15,000 people in Shelby County have submitted a absentee ballot. That's twice as much as is usually submitted at this time. So there's about 7,000 people who have access to voting now that possibly would not have had access to voting otherwise. So I want to thank Professor Steve Mulroy. I think it's Brother Jake Brown and that whole law office who litigated the case. The ACLU was part of it too, so salute to them. But just know that Up to Vote 901 is doing all we can to try to ensure everybody has equitable access to the ballot box. We're trying to give people more power, information, and representation. So I wanted to talk about Kanye so I could talk about this weird connection between certain types of religion or religious presentations and certain types of political affiliations. I wanted to talk about the difference between the politics of liberation and the politics of exploitation. And so I also want to talk some about Up to Vote 901 and the work that we are trying to do and the work that we are in the process of doing. And our meeting is coming up. Nancy Amos asks, how can I be a stronger ally? I feel like that's a question for you to answer because I think that's dependent upon your passion. I do think that Dr. Valerie Bridgman posted something about the ways allies can be connected. But I will, let me log off of this and try to see if I can find that or track that down. If I could track that post down, I will add it in the comments here. Kimberly Gibson asked, do we provide this information at the high school level? Yes, we were at Central High School, before pre-pandemic, BC, before COVID. And we did some stuff there. We partner with Shelby County Schools as much as possible. We partner with Venetia Kimbrough and the I Am a Voter Collaborative, Sister Tracy O'Connor, and the Memphis High School Voter Collaborative. So yeah, definitely we want to help out as many people as we possibly can, as much as we possibly can. So Ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, friends, and kin, I'm not going to hold y'all anymore. I thank y'all for the 40 minutes that you have allotted us to be in conversation together. Let me announce, for those who may not know, something that Abyssinian is doing this weekend. We're going into our family and friends. Really the whole month of July, we celebrate family and friends. We've had associate ministers who have been preaching and all of that. But this weekend, on Saturday, we're doing a couples conversation. So myself and my wife, Denise, will be hosting Bishop Jermaine Atkins and Lady Latanya Atkins of the River of Life Community Church in Little Rock. So this Saturday at 12 noon, we are asking all couples to come join us in conversation, and anyone who wants to participate in that, feel free to do that. Then on Sunday, please stick around for our worship service at Abyssinian. But other than that, I hope that you have gotten some good information, that you feel like you have asked a black preacher a question that you probably thought you probably couldn't ask one. Thank you again for all of you who have shared this and all of you who have commented on this. If I miss some of the comments, I'm going to try to go back and reply to them. But until then, I hope to see all of you on Saturday. Then I hope to see all of you again on Sunday at the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County, Memphis Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church. So until peace.
Hey man, you know though, man, you know what it is. That right? Yeah. Driven by Music NT. Like it. Yeah. Like it. Yeah. Like it. Yeah. I was feeling suicidal, looking for the answers, could not find them in the Bible. Yeah, yeah. But you didn't want to know that, cause all my pictures tell you that I'm good. That's a Kodak moment, yeah. But my real ones got me. I would never fold out, that's what the origami. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Driven, that's the logo. I can't tell you I won't quit, but you already know though, man. You know though, man. You know though, man. You know what it is. I'm the only one.